So you're thinking about making a move to the Minneapolis-Saint Paul area, otherwise known as the Twin Cities. Well, today in this video, I'm going to be going over some of the pros you might want to consider and some of the cons you might want to consider if you're thinking about making a move. Stay tuned. My name is Lisa Wichmann. I am a realtor here in the Twin Cities. I am a native to Minneapolis. I was born and raised. I know a thing or two about the metropolitan area. And I'm just going to give you my opinions on what I think are about 5 negatives, and I have a little bit longer list of what the pros are for living in Minnesota and the Twin Cities. If you're new to this channel, shoot me a like, subscribe to the channel. So what do people think of when they think of Minnesota? They think of the weather, they think of the tundra, they think of how cold it is. Well, the truth is it's cold in the winter. It can be brutally cold. That's true. But I'm actually going to put weather on both my pros list and my cons list. So let's talk about the negative. There are extremes. Winters can be long. 6 months long, I remember a year when we got, I don't know how many, 30 inches of snow in 1991 on Halloween. And then, if it starts out like that, winter can last a long time. It's true. And there are blizzards and there are ice storms, and that makes for crappy road conditions, long commutes to work, all kinds of things with bad weather. In the summertime, it can be hot. We get over 100 degrees. We get into the 90s for long stretches of time, and we have the humidity. So it can feel very tropical here. The other thing that happens in the summertime, we have tornadoes here. We get hailstorms. We kind of get it all. That's one reason why it's on my pros list as well. So while we have the extremes, some people just love the snow. They love winter, but be prepared. If you are one who's just going to sit inside and bundle up like I do, you can still have a good life here. But if the cold makes you miserable, don't move here. You can't avoid it. You just can't avoid it. Another negative of being in the Twin Cities, we have very high taxes. Our taxes help pay for the quality of life that you get when you live here. Our corporate income taxes are high. Our property taxes are high. Our state taxes just on goods and services are high. We are the 8th highest taxes in the country. And there are a lot of states that have no state income tax at all. If you're not used to paying high taxes and you move here, you're going to have to get used to paying higher taxes than in most places in the country. Along with that weather that I was talking about, the high humidity, the heat, etc. Well, we are the land of 10,000 lakes, right? With the land of 10,000 lakes comes what? Mosquitoes. Mosquitoes from the time it starts warming up in the early summer until they freeze when we're going into the winter. One thing I learned, my blood type is type O. Mosquitoes are attracted to people with type O. Just a little tidbit that I learned. But they're here, you can't avoid them. Some people hate them. I hate them. This negative depends on which side of the aisle you fall on. So we are a Democratic state. We have not voted for a Republican president in Minnesota in over 50 years. We do have a presidential election coming up. We shall see what happens with that. But right now, we are a Democratic state. So depending on your politics, could be a negative, could be a positive. Only you can decide that. And I do not discuss politics when it comes to my real estate career. There is something called Minnesota nice. People hear of it. You hear of it. Minnesota nice. What is Minnesota nice? Ooh, Minnesota nice means not wanting to deal with confrontation. Let's just agree, or maybe not necessarily give our opinion. Here's something somebody told me once, which is kind of funny. It's like, when you're driving in a car, maybe you're a little chilly. Maybe the air conditioning is too cold. And rather than saying, this is passive aggressive Minnesota nice, rather than saying, can you turn the air conditioning down? It might be right and cold, just kind of skirting around the issue. Anyway, Minnesota nice. Minnesota Nice and making friends. Making friends is not the easiest thing to do here. And this is kind of where Minnesota Nice comes in. Minnesota Nice is, yes, we are really nice, kind, loving people. We're very helpful. We like to help one another out. But we're not going to necessarily let you really into our personal space of sorts or too close to us unless you can break through that. So making friends here is a little hard. And where the Minnesota Nice comes in to that is, yes, we will invite you to dinner. Would love to have coffee with you, but we aren't necessarily going to actually do it. It's kind of odd. I'm not really sure why we are the way we are, but if you have any questions and you are thinking about making a move, please reach out to us. We are helping people all the time. We love to have conversations, no obligations, just pick up the phone, shoot me a message, whatever. We are here to answer any questions you have about anything related to moving to the Twin Cities. On to the pros list. Why move to Minnesota? Well, I have lived here all my life. Obviously, I've stayed. There are a number of things that I love about the Twin Cities. And recently I had a friend from Texas who came and visited me, and I took her all over the place. And doing that, it developed in me a newfound love for Minneapolis and St. Paul. I mean, we went all over the place. And I hadn't done that in like a 2-day period for anyone at that length. And so anyway, I do have a newfound love for my city. We did this in the fall, last October. It was gorgeous. Anyway, I'm going to start with number 1, the weather. We have 4 seasons here. It's awesome. Spring, renewal, right? Let's get all the dirt, the grime from the snow, all of that away. We have April showers, spring May flowers. We are the land of 10,000 lakes. In the summertime, that's where people spend a lot of their time, whether it's walking around the lakes in the Twin Cities. By the way, there are a lot of lakes in the Twin Cities, not just in greater Minnesota. So summer, everybody's outside. I happen to live on a parkway, and there are people zooming by on whatever wheeled thing there is now, where there's a skateboard or a unicycle. You should see some of the things I've seen. Ooh, interesting. All the 4-legged friends were very dog friendly. Bikers, walkers, motorcyclists, whatever. There's just so much to do here in the summertime, as there is in the winter. But then we move into fall. Everybody loves fall. Everybody drives up north to go see the fall colors or drive down south along the river to see the fall colors. It's a little chilly. It's kind of nice. You can have a fire outside maybe, or put a fire on in your house and cozy up as we turn into winter, where some of us hibernate and some of us get out there because there's so much here to do in the winter as well, which we'll come back to because I'm going to talk about things to do because there's so many things to do. The economy in Minnesota is really, really strong. We have so many Fortune 500 companies. You've heard of Target, you've heard of 3M, United Healthcare, the list goes on. Privately held companies, Cargill, Best Buy. The employment opportunities here are great. And that's one reason why people are moving here, is because of jobs, because jobs are bringing them to the Twin Cities. If you have kiddos coming along, or if you have kiddos and you are thinking about making a move, the school systems here are great. Like any other community, you have some better districts than others. All of that is available online, all of that data and information, but we have excellent schools here, whether you're talking about from pre-kindergarten through high school and on to college, etc. The opportunities, the number of post-secondary options are great. The University of Minnesota, Big Ten College, a number of other campuses, outer state, that are part of the University of Minnesota system. It's really important when you are considering making a move that you have a family, that you consider the school systems. I can help you figure that out and let you know firsthand what I know about all of the different communities and what specifically it is that your family is looking for when it comes to education. Whether or not that is important to you, whether or not you have a family, just let me help navigate that, because there is a lot to navigate. One of the reasons our taxes are high, we have a lot of green space here. If you like green space, if you like to go out biking, if you like being on the water, canoeing, paddleboarding, fishing. We also fish in the winter. The parks and the lake system here, miles and miles of bike paths, miles and miles of walking trails. Very, very walkable communities here. You can live in so many different areas. It really doesn't matter. I believe the statistic is you can't live anywhere in the state of Minnesota without being within a few miles of a lake. That's something that we greatly care about here in the Twin Cities. If you care about green space, you might want to check us out. I want to talk about things to do. I mentioned, we are 4 seasons. So it doesn't matter which season you like the best, there are things to do. Let's start with the winter. Snowboarding, skiing, cross-country skiing, ice fishing, sledding. We embrace the winter. We have winter carnivals. We have ice fishing tournaments, ice sculpture competitions when the weather holds. There's just so much to do here in the winter. But in the summer, it's the exact same thing. We have all this water. So people are always, if you want to just go for a walk around a lake, you can do that. You're close anywhere in the cities. You're close to a lake where you can just go hang out, walk your dog, people watch, grab a bite to eat while you're sitting on the water. One of the best things to do is just grab a cocktail, sit by the water, watch the boats, whatever. In the fall, there again, festivals. We have a huge state fair. We have every little community has their thing. I live in Robbinsdale. Whiz Bang Days, Hopkins Raspberry Festival. It just doesn't matter where you are. There's festivals all the time. Music and arts. We have a huge culture of arts and music, theater, both indoors and outdoors. Weather permitting, we have festivals. We have art performances. I know New Hope this past weekend did Bye Bye Birdie off Broadway. So if you like to be entertained with music, you can find it indoors and outdoors. If you like to be entertained by going to shows, you can do those for free or not. The bar scene, the music scene, the breweries that have been popping up. They're popping up all over the country, but they're plentiful here. No matter where you go in the Twin Cities during the summer, you're always going to find people outside. You're going to find families having barbecues in the park. I live on the Parkway, as I mentioned, and the other day there were volleyball nets set up. Somebody was having a huge party just in the park. There's just a lot to do. And if you like water, you can do a lot of water sports here. Just need somebody with a boat, or maybe you get a boat, or maybe you go buy a house that's on the water and buy a boat. I'm going to end with this. The number one reason that people live here is quality of life. It's the big picture. It's a good economy. It's good schools. It's things to do. If you like variations in weather, I have a friend who moved from California and said there's nothing to talk about when it comes to the weather because it's always sunny. But now, weather. That's what he wants to talk about. Weather. Let me know if you have any questions. You know where to reach me.
So every year when I pull out my hat and my mittens, my gloves, I wonder, why do I live in Minnesota? And today I'm wondering, why do I live in Minnesota? But I guess it's quality of life. That's all I've got to say.